welcome back to Ladies in Keene. You, of course, can always give us a call at 603-435-1105. And make sure to check us out on ladiesinkeene.com. There's all kinds of fun stuff for you there, including a webcam with a chat room. You can talk to people during the show. It's a good time. Of course, tonight is our open mic Festivus celebration where we have a whole bunch of tons of people on, and it's good times. Right now in the studio, it's Cecilia.
And Shaunna.
And Garret.
And if you're watching the webcam right now, you'll see Garret has a huge afro, which I am like, I think I'm maybe obsessed with it because I feel like I mention it almost every time I see you. Your huge afro.
It does get a lot of attention.
It's so epic that Alpha Bro Drew, I think it was.
Tim
totally was like, look at this kid with the afro, and then he called you a fag and some other homosexual derogatory words.
Well, it does, all over the place.
I would say that it does frame your face and your eye sockets. So
you.
I don't know what that means, but whatever she just said, it frames your face and your eye sockets. It's great.
I think so.
So, well, since I mentioned Alpha Bro Tim, why don't you go ahead and tell us what the situation with that was?
Oh, we just go right for the controversy on Ladies in Keene.
Yeah, we love controversy. Haven't you ever listened to the show? We argue all the time and controversy it up. Woo!
So there was an argument that we came upon with civilians and a police officer about 2-3 weeks ago, cop blocking here in Keene.
Which is a very active thing. There's a lot of activists who go out on a regular basis and cop block.
Mm-hmm. So there was about 4 of us that evening. We pulled up in a car. 3 of us had video cameras. And it initially was not an issue that we were filming, but eventually it became an issue that one of the people with us, James, was filming, and one of the females that was there came over and hit him, and this enticed, I guess, 2 of the other males that were there to start. One of them just was drunkenly bumping into him and being like, "We don't want you to film, bro." And then from that point, near after that, this first person left, and then a second person came over and then just was laughing, using derogatory words, and we were just standing there. And I walked over when he began punching or hitting on a friend of mine, and then all of a sudden he jumped at me. And that was pretty much the extent of it. He lets go, he runs off. And it made for a great video, which is hosted over at copblock.org, freekeene.com. You can check that out.
Yeah, I've watched the video, and it's very... you need to put that back because the thing wants to go away now. It holds it in place. So I watched the video, and the thing that I noticed most about what happened was when you guys approached, you weren't engaging, nothing was really happening, and then once someone engaged, a drunk person, because there were several drunk people in the situation, once someone engaged someone, then there were issues. People were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I don't know. And it's like, dude, chill out. But Alpha Bro Tim, he was on it. He was just
crazy. Why
crazy.
Is he called Alpha Bro Tim? Is that his real name, or is that just what everybody else has named him? Has he...
I'm kind of glad I didn't know the dude's last name. I didn't have to do any issues with publishing full names of people. But I believe, he was being called Tim that evening, so I figured his first name was Tim. And he was exhibiting the alpha behaviors of, oh, my friend's kind of fighting with someone, not really, so I'm going to go over there. I'm going to get in a real fight with those people.
Really? That doesn't sound like an alpha thing at all. That sounds like beta/white knighting anyways.
And he kept saying bro.
Well, bro, that's,
So he got nicknamed Alpha Bro Tim. That's how that happened. But I watched that video, and that was just kind of the whole little interaction. That tells you, I would say that alcohol is one of the worst drugs ever, because it's great, but it's awful at the same time because you don't know what you're doing. Your inhibitions are gone, you're acting a fool, and you're doing things you wouldn't normally do when you're sober and about yourself.
And who knows, the guy could have been doing the energy drinks. I know those are very popular among the young people these days.
The young people, they do like those energy drinks. The Red Bull, it gives you wings.
And
are you going to put your
that with
headset back on,
alcohol.
Shaunna?
I'm waiting to bus.
Oh, to put it back so
yeah.
that this doesn't happen, so it doesn't fly away from me.
Yeah.
If people could see me right now, I don't know, whatever.
You got it.
It happens. I blame Jay for
needing.
You got to
fight to get that thing in front of your face.
That's what she said. Oh, goodness gracious. So before you came in a little bit, I know with James, when he was on, we were talking a little bit about your trial in Concord, about the bike headlight dealy. We didn't really delve into too much what it's about. We were more talking about his experience with the filming and getting, kind of pushed out of the courtroom. So why don't you tell us about what you told them, what you made them do? They took it out of advisement, didn't they?
Right. The judge took the case under advisement. Well, it's hard to think about where this really begins, because the same officer that was involved in issuing me this bicycle headlamp ticket was also the same officer that inspired me to start my blog and start a video channel, because he physically stopped me from recording him one night about 2.5 years ago. And that incident stuck out in my mind and made me think I should always carry a camera, because these people wearing badges can be unpredictable. And lo and behold, he also happens to be the officer that was the commanding officer on the scene and on that shift. So I believe it's a case of authority going to one's head. And in the incident about a year ago in which he wrote me a headlight violation ticket, he was about, I don't know, it's about 500 feet, I believe, away, and the law says about bicycle headlights that if you're within 300 feet in front of a bicycle and you can't see the light, that your headlamp violated. And he even testified in the trial. He approached us from the rear. I announced I was audio recording. And it was at that point he let my 2 friends go, whether or not they had bicycle headlamps. He didn't really investigate. And then he detained me for a few minutes, wrote me a ticket, refused to identify himself the whole time. I didn't recognize him at the time. I recognized him once I saw his name on the ticket. Another officer shows up on the scene. He orders him not to identify himself to me.
What?
So it just
ridiculous.
demonstrates the attitude that he had going into the encounter.
Pete made the point earlier. We were talking about Palmer, and there was a bailiff who refused to identify himself after intimidating people and blocking people and stepping on people's feet and trying to knock cameras out of people's faces, or out of their hands rather. It was so hard to get his name, just to get his last name. He wouldn't give it. None of the other bailiffs would get it. None of the cops would give it. And finally, like right before everyone was about to leave, Pete was able to get it from someone. They're like, "Oh, well, they don't like to give out their names because sometimes people are, negative or have bad things to say." Well, it's like, yeah, if you're so ashamed, if you're so afraid to give out your name, then you're obviously not doing something that's right or nice. If you're so afraid of what people are going to say about you, you're obviously not being very nice or friendly to people at all. But I totally agree with your sentiment that you should always carry a camera. I mean, it's the best way to protect yourself. Because when it comes time to a government employee talking to you, they will lie off their butts to get the outcome they want, to cover themselves. So you need to have a record of the truth. And you never know what could happen. Carrying a camera is for your protection. Wouldn't you agree?
Certainly. There's 2 levels to the accountability issue of the police not giving their names. There's the one aspect, because I've run into an instance which I asked the officer for his name and he only gives his last name. And they'll refuse to give their first name sometimes, and it's very impersonal. And I find that to go against the idea that these people are focused on community policing and getting to be a part of the community.
But it doesn't, like, if they give their last name, then they're not really, they can still be identified later by their first name. And I guess if he is, in a position of authority, or thinks he is, or believes he is, or the rest of society, sick as it is, believes that he's in a position of authority, then it would be the same as like and the Mr. is implied, like I'm Mr. Orange Juice, or
I'm Mr. Orange Juice.
It's what's right in front of me. I'm sorry.
There's orange juice in the studio.
But I mean, it sounds like almost it's sort of reasonable that he wouldn't be in a familiar, hey, I'm Joe Orange Juice or something. Like he'd be just implied like, there are people here that go by their last names. Rapture.
Yeah, there's people who go by the last names. But I guess I'm not really sure what you're saying. But
I don't think it's really bizarre for somebody to just give their last name.
I don't think it's bizarre for someone to give their last name. What I did find bizarre, though, in Palmer, I thought of this after it happened, but Provost, when he came up to threaten me, I thought of a great thing to say to him. I think next time I get threatened with, arrest for whatever reason, I'm just like, "Oh, hi, my name's Cecilia. What's your name?" "Oh, I normally like to introduce myself to people before they say they're going to tie me up." Something kind of funny or whatever.
I don't pass at him.
I think it was a little funny, but I don't know. It was kind of a ridiculous situation. It's anytime I deal with government people, it's just ridiculous. You can give us a call at 603-435-1105. You're listening to Ladies in Keene, and we will be right back for our last segment. So before we went to the break, I think we were talking about some really fun stuff, but I kind of forgot. But I know you were talking, Garret.
Yeah, about trials and tribulations in Concord.
I swear. You have a website.
Yes, I do.
freeconcord.org, right?
That is correct.
So if someone was interested in your trial and what happened, or any activism or what you do, they could probably find it at Free Concord, right?
Yeah, they can find a lot of great stuff happening from all over around the state that ends up at freeconcord.org, including things that happen in Manchester and Nashua and, of course, Keene, because I spend a lot of time here in Keene.
Yeah, I would say Free Concord's probably like the second most active Liberty Liberty blog site, wouldn't you, in New Hampshire? Probably the most. I
believe that might be the case.
And it is very well written.
It is very well. Well, Garret writes a lot of it, so he's very articulate. He is much better at writing words and not sounding like he's talking, because when I write, I sound like I'm talking, and that just sounds silly. But Garret, he's like masterful. He is a technician with the words. Which you mostly blog everything over there on Free Concord, right? I guess there's another couple contributors or whatever, or is it just you?
I would say that I'm the primary contributor. Every once in a while I'll see something on the internet I like, or somebody's posted elsewhere.
Yeah.
And drag it over.
Because I know at Free Keene they have like a dozen of them, and at Ladies in Keene I think we have maybe 5 or 7, maybe. I don't know.
I think there's 8 people that are signed up who can post.
Yeah.
And
no one does it on a regular basis. But every now and then, some people post stuff. I love Shaunna's stuff. Like, it's always like, make this, or, hey, I had a really cool idea about this. I love Shaunna.
I don't have any cool ideas.
It's always fun to read Shaunna's writing, because it's just like, you really have to read it sometimes to understand what you're saying, because sometimes you're like roundabout about things. So I really enjoy it. It's fun.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So I know while we were in the break, you were saying, Garret, you've been looking a lot into drones lately and drone attacks.
Yeah, it's one of the more disturbing technological advancements of the 21st century, and more things have been revealed about them recently.
So what actually is a drone then?
Well, a drone in this instance, as we mean, is also known as an unmanned aerial vehicle. It's a little robot that flies around, and the military has been equipping them with cameras and with missiles, and they've been putting them to use a lot with those two technologies.
Yeah, I find flying robots that are remotely controlled to be kind of terrifying. Just a little bit. It makes me think of Fallout.
Yeah, it's definitely
game.
Not something I'd want to experience.
Yeah.
But if you live in the Middle East, it is something that you may experience quite a bit, because they've been proliferating this technology. They've been militaries training more and more people every day and learning how to fly these things and kill people with these things.
But they're not flying the unmanned. They're like in an office somewhere in like Utah or Colorado or something.
I believe there's a very large control center in New Mexico, but then the drone bases themselves are, of course, throughout the world. I believe there's a very large one in Djibouti, Africa.
I like Africa. It's fun shaped. I hope my dad's listening, because he's always wanting me to talk about the drones. He is under the impression that they're flying drones over America and spying on people. Is that true, Garret? Are they spying on people?
They totally are.
In the United States?
Oh, yeah, there are places in the United States where the governments are using drones. Some of the police departments are already using them. It's not that widespread a technology, but I'm sure it will be very soon. Other countries, I know Brazil is going to be using them to try and secure their borders.
I know they have them in Los Angeles. I've heard that they're getting a program for it. And from listening to the Alex Jones show, there's supposedly them running around in Texas and I want to say New York, just because I always hear psycho militarized.
I don't know, but I think your first mistake was listening to Alex Jones.
What are you talking about? It's entertaining. I'm at work all day.
It is entertaining. It's definitely entertaining. In a crazy kind of, oh my God, there's a person yelling at me.
You know what? No. Oh my God, Alex Jones, he's just a conspiracy theorist. Like, if I understood how a toaster worked, which I don't, but if I did, and I explained it to you, I would sound like a conspiracy theorist.
How toasters work?
Yeah, or something that you don't understand that's very complex and has a lot of stuff to it. So, I mean, this whole that's a conspiracy theory, therefore I'm not going to listen to it. It's like, no, can you hold a conversation for more than 30 minutes and understand something? Well, then maybe this might make sense, or maybe it's nonsense, but just the whole, that's a conspiracy theory, therefore,
Well, when I said he was crazy.
And that accent.
When I was saying he was crazy, I don't mean oh my God, that's so crazy. No, I don't listen to.
Okay.
I haven't listened to Alex Jones for
What is your
ever.
opinion about, it's not but you
a
have
long time.
before.
But he is very yelly. You have to admit, he is very yelly.
He works himself up, and he says so.
He gets kind of red in the face. I almost feel like there's going to be steam coming off his head.
Man,
and stuff.
it's great. It's great.
Oh, jeez. I
listen the whole
I personally don't like the idea of drones.
side issue.
I feel like there's a very disconnect in when it comes to like soldiers and people who are in the military or in law enforcement. There's a very big disconnect between those individuals and the individuals that they are serving. And when I say serving, I mean beating the crap out of, putting in jail, enforcing the laws upon. There's a big disconnect. And I feel like with drones, there's even going to be a bigger disconnect, when you're fighting wars or battles or whatever, because you don't even have to see them. You push buttons. It's like a video game. You just push buttons and things happen, and you don't see the consequences of your actions. It's very easy to push. It's very easy for people to push buttons when they don't see the consequences of those actions.
It's pretty funny. You said there is a drone base in Djibouti.
Correct.
Djibouti.
Big booty, Djibouti. Oh yeah, Djibouti.
Ladies in Keene. No, but I mean, I just
be happy I haven't said vagina yet. Ah, damn it.
It looks like it could be swam over to Yemen from there, and it's just north of Somalia and right over from Sudan, where everybody's so horrified and the outrage about some atrocity going on.
Coney 2012.
Exactly. And
this has only been happening for 20 years, but now we're going to make it a big deal right now. Coney 2012. Woo! Oh, wait, is this a scam?
I'm sure they got drones looking for Coney right now.
Right. But I mean, it's just so bizarre how it really is in the center of where everybody thinks the bad people come from. And, there probably are, whatever. And it's right there is murder operations.
Murder, death, kill. Murder, death, kill.
It's something that absolutely would not be accepted in this continent. I would think if in Latin America the United States had a program that was just randomly killing Latin Americans with drone strikes because they might be terrorists coming to the United States to kill us. And it's just something that people would not accept. But when it's as far away as the Middle East, I think there's such a disconnect. And, these people, they came here 10 years ago in 9/11. And, of course, the FBI will claim there's been X many hundred terrorist attack attempts since then. However many of them may have been created and crafted by the FBI.
Yeah, it's
false
we have
flag.
all these FBI... Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Why don't you go back to
Alex
Jones and
Alex
tell him all about
Jones,
it.
conspiracy theory.
Email him. He'll get back to you. But, actually, no, because, in Mexico or in the, southern...
Down there?
In the southern part of the U.S., bordering Mexico, it's basically a war on humans because of the drug war being ran back and forth by, whatever government, whatever gang is supported at the moment. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, they're killing journalists, they're killing mayors.
People? Killing people?
Mayors. There's a new woman mayor who is touted for her bravery and getting shot at by the gangs and everything.
Oh.
And people deal with it. People up here accept it because they don't care because they're, those are just Mexicans. And people down there, from what I've heard from people who do live down there, they say, well, it's just a culture of corruption. And it seems like even here in the U.S., there's a culture of being okay with the government murdering people.
Yeah, there's
whether it's Djibouti and the murder factory drone bases there. There's
I just want to giggle when you say Djibouti. I just want to giggle. I'm sorry.
Okay,
it's the little kid in me that I just want to giggle. But drones are not serious. Laughing matters. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Drones are bad. No one likes to kill people. Killing people is bad. It's immoral. Wake up. I don't know. It's been a great show. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks so much to all of our different guests. Make sure to check us out next week, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LRN.FM. You've been listening to Ladies in Keene. Check us out on ladiesandkeene.com. Have a great week.